topic of my paper was how some autocratic regimes maintain themselves in power. And I was borrowing an idea about the new dictators that have devised new ways of prolonging their stay in power. And what I was discussing was how they create and sell narratives that makes them acceptable to the international community. They speak in the language of democracy, human rights, and freedom, but actually they're just ruling through just like all the dictators, but with different methods. The main finding of my work is that those who are not in power but try to promote the process of democracy should use the same counter strategy of creating narratives that are genuine, speaking for the people, and then use the same finding, the same strategy to promote real democratization, economic development, and peace building. I mean, there are this indigenous knowledge and indigenous practices in all of these three areas that I just talked about: in democracy, in development, economic development, and peace building. To use just one from the last, the peace building, there is an institution, traditional institution in Ethiopia, for instance, in northern Wello, in a province in north central Ethiopia, where people actually choose the traditional conflict resolution mechanism rather than the legal system, which decides and establishes boundaries. But the traditional peacemaking and conflict resolution systems actually bring people together, reconcile them, so that they can come together and strengthen their communities. In Ethiopia, one of the regions, for instance, the Oromia region, the parliament itself is guided by the principles and values of the traditional democracy of the Oromo people, known as the Gada system. So they have adapted it, and that's the way they actually conduct themselves in office. That's a specific example of where indigenous democratic system is in operation in Ethiopia. And as I just said, the Abagur system is a religious figure, a traditional religious figure who is trusted by the people, is respected by the people, and his rulings are always seen as legitimate and fair. So even people who are non-Oromo actually go to him and shun the legal system in Ethiopia. There is also, in development areas, there are NGOs that are using these indigenous practices in order to put programs that are sustainable in economic development, in farming, in micro business. So those are examples about all these three areas. Right now I have a plan to edit a book on indigenous systems of peace building, the Oromo experience. I have collected about 10 case studies that master students have done. We're trying to convert their findings into an article and produce a volume on indigenous systems of peace building. So that is what I'm really working on. And I hope that the book would probably come out in about a year.